Hello, welcome to Mega Shed Diaries, 8th of June 2026. Can you fit any Power Commander to any bike? Yes, you can, with a few caveats which I'm going to explain. Backstory is I have this GSX S125. You say you want to fit a Power Commander to this. There are several companies that will provide one and fit one for you, but DynoJet themselves don't actually make a one for this bike. So those people that are providing and fitting them are getting one from a different manufacturer for a different bike, but converting it to use. Because essentially a Power Commander 5, a Power Commander 6, a Power Commander 3, the box itself is the same for every bike. There might be some different programming in it, but the box itself is the same, and what you pay for is the connections for it, so you can just plug in and go, and also for the map that matches your particular bike. Yes, it would have cost me, I think, £500 to have one fitted by someone I know. That's their job, that's good, that's fine, they've done the research. But I spoke to an acquaintance of mine who said, oh, well, I had a garage, I bought a Power Commander 3 for like 60 quid off eBay, off from RSV Meal, and had a local garage fit it. And effectively what you need to know is what connectors go where and how to program it. And I should be able to program, I should be able to explain to you how I've done that. Myself and another two other people I know have done that. My friend has done it with a Power Commander 5. I just happened to find a Power Commander FC fuel controller. It works on the Power Commander 5 software, which is actually useful because you can switch between 10 different preset maps. So you can switch 0 map or whichever your 10 maps you want are, with a baffle, without a baffle, etc. I'll show you the connections which you need to do, but let's explain the caveats. You need to have the connectors that will connect to your loom at the injector's site. So you need to find whatever injector you've got and find the plugs that will fit it. And I've managed to find those plugs, and it cost us like 7 quid for 5 pairs of them. You need to get a Power Commander that has at least as many cylinders as your bike has, which is not a problem for mine. I bought one for a 4-cylinder bike and this has only got one. You need to have one that the bike revs at least to what you need this to rev to. The one I got it from revved really high, and this only goes to about 12,000 RPM, because those are things that are preset within the programming. When you open it up on the laptop, you can only adjust up to those certain revs and that number of cylinders. So what does a Power Commander actually do? It doesn't interfere anything with your ECU itself. It plugs in between your injectors, and it takes information on this model from the throttle position sensor, and it plugs in between the injectors. It takes the signal that ECU puts out for the frequency and duration of an injection, and it can add or remove a duration of fuel injection at that cylinder dependent on what the throttle position is and the RPM. But it knows what RPM it is because it can tell that from the frequency that it's receiving the signal at. So that's the only thing that it does. There are, with a caveat on that, there are models that can adjust the ignition timing. I won't be going into that. I don't know if that's possible for my bike, but that's not what I was interested in doing. And I do believe some bikes can have a Power Commander 6, for example, has the ability to do that. I didn't need to do that, and I won't be. And also, they do have the ability to adjust maps for different gears. I will be using the same map for every gear, so it'll only make the adjustment on what the ECU puts out the same for every gear. What will you need to know about the Power Commander you buy, and what will you need to know about your own bike? You really need to obtain the wiring diagrams from your manual for your bike, and probably the bike that it is intended for, because you have to identify which of the wires goes to the throttle position sensor, which goes to the neutral, which goes to live, and which goes to injector 1, injector 2, injector 3 and injector 4. I'm going to put bits up on the screen of diagrams of the wires that I've got. So effectively, I think it's always the grey wire, as far as we've seen on the Power Commander, that goes to the throttle position sensor output, and then a black and white one that goes to the digital earth, and then there's another ring that goes to the battery earth. The positive comes from the injector feed, and then there's the other wire to the injector which tells it the frequency. And on my bike, I know it's the white wire with the orange stripe on, but if you've got 4 cylinders, there's usually 4 of those, and it appears that cylinder 1 is the white and the orange one. But you need to get the wiring diagram from your particular bike and the bike that it was for to identify those wires, and they're the bits that you tap into. Those for the throttle position sensor, you don't need to cut those wires, you only need to piggyback a wire. I'll show you the things that I've used to do that, and a little plug so I can take it on and off. Honestly, the Scotch lock ones probably would have been easier, or you can cut the insulation, solder it on, but I didn't want to do that. I'd rather have left it in situ. So I've explained all of those things. I'll now show you pictures of what I've done, and then later I'll show you the software. I'll do a screen record on a laptop and show you how I put the map onto it. The other caveat I mentioned is that you obviously won't have a map for the bike that you've got. You might be able to get one for another bike that's similar, but honestly, what you need to do is to take your bike to a dyno and have it set up using a dyno to add and remove fuel in the places it needs to in the map versus the base map that's on the ECU. Fortunately, my friend Morgan Phillip, hi Morgan, if you're watching this, he had that done by his dyno operator, and he's shared that map with all of us, so we've got something to go on. I do intend to take my bike to a dyno at some point and have a play with it there and just see how close it is. But I have ridden this bike at the last round of Motor Team, and it worked absolutely fine. So here's my Power Commander FC. It actually came from I think a Honda CB 650 2012 model, but that's not important. I knew it would rev high enough, and I knew it had enough cylinders. As you can see on the front of it there, it's got adjustments for low, mid and high that you can do on the fly, but the important bit is where it says base, and it's got 10 presets. So I've got map 2 selected there. I've got map 1 as a 0 map, sort of, as you know, so that would put the bike back to factory. So I've just got that tucked under there. It does come with Velcro and stuff to attach it in, but I've just got it tucked into there. And then the wires are going forward. They're quite long, and then I've got it unplugged at the moment so that I can show you where it goes into. But this is the plug with my pointy stick. This is the plug that goes to the throttle position sensor, which on this bike is down there. I've got the plug out so that you can see it better, but we've identified that it needs to have the feed from the pink and white wire, which is the throttle position sensor, and the digital neutral there. So I've taken these piggyback connectors on. I said preferably use a Scotch lock, and then I've got it attached to this, I can't remember what they're called, but it's just a 12-volt connector there, so that I can take it on and off using this. So that is going, actually, I'll show you in different diagrams, but that's going to the grey wire, as I said, and the black and white one. It seems like the grey wire is always the throttle position sensor positive. So that will attach with that. And then we've got, these are the plug type I need. Then these basically are the injector plugs. These would go in your loom between the injector. And obviously there's lots of different types of injector. Identify the plug you need, buy a pair of those or as many pairs as you need to cover the numbers of cylinders you have, and all of the other ones can be taped up. So I've got them unplugged so you can see, but I've got my injector there, and the plug it would go to here, and those two go to it. So effectively I've only got like 3 plugs that I need to use, and also there is a negative that goes to the negative on the battery or anywhere on the frame, and it's got that loop there. It's coming out of the loom, and I've just got it attached on the frame rather than the battery because it was more convenient to do that. So that's it. I will connect it up now. I think maybe I'll put my camera on my chest while I do that. You maybe watch that for a little bit, and I'll put the bike back together, and you'll see it running, and I'll connect it up to the laptop. That's my 12 volt connector. I've already got it connected on those 2 wires for the throttle position sensor until it clicks. There's my quick release bit, and then got the one that goes on the injector. And the one that goes into the injector plug. That's it. I've just got all of the other ones that are not used taped up. And I need to put my fuel tank back on. So connect the fuel pump and the fuel. I'm pleased I did that bit in time lapse, because typically it took me longer to get the bloody tank trims on than it did to fit the Power Commander. So I've left the seat off, and also I didn't mention before, there is a USB-A lead that goes from the box itself. It came with it, and it's about 1 meter long, and I've just run that up so that I can access it by the rear seat pod, and that's what you'll use to plug into your laptop. And if it's powered on, in fact, it doesn't even need the bike power on. If it's a Power Commander 5 or 6, it doesn't need power. If it's an early version, Power Commander 3, it does need power lead to it. So next thing, I'm going to plug it into a laptop. I'm just going to prove to you it still works. Go and get the laptop, and I'll show you what I did with the software. See if I can do a screen record for the last little bit. So here it is connected up to the bike. Got the USB lead in there, running the PC3 or whatever it's called software. I've done a separate video on a screen record. And then you can see on the right hand side here, it's got the RPM and throttle position sensor there, and I'm on map position 2. I've got selected map selection 2, and you can see all of the plus and minus bits in the map that will have pasted in separately from the map that I'd received. And obviously that's the bit where, when it's running on a dyno, someone will be adjusting. But I've just done the talking. I'll switch it on. We should be able to see it running. Switch it off before I gas myself, but I'll try and do the meat of this recorded on a screen recorder instead. I just wanted to show it on the bike. So I'm just going to demonstrate the downloading of software and maps from the DynoJet.com website. You do have to register with an email address before it'll let you do anything and get the software, but that doesn't take very long. So you go to software here, DynoJet.com, and downloads, and you've got the downloads for all the different devices. If you see that red thing there, click here, Power Core Software Download. When you click that, it will begin to download. You'll see top right, it'll download that, run the exe file, and it'll set that up on your computer. I needed to download the Power Commander 3 software because everything now, the Power Commander 5, 6 and FC all run on this Power Core software, but the older version, and that's what I got the map from Morgan, is the Power Commander 3. So when you click on that, it takes you to the downloads for that. I've got that open in the next tab. So there's Power Commander 3. You've got install guides, etc. Software download. I'll show you that later because I needed to copy the map across from that onto the newer version. And just for example, there's other things you can download. Say you want to search for your bike and a map does exist for it. Here's the example, the Honda that it was loaded with when I got my Power Commander. See if you wanted to buy one of these, $327. And if you go down to the bit that says tunes, it's got various maps for with and without stock air filter, exhaust, Two Brothers, whatever. So you can download those and load them onto your Power Commander. And just as another example there, I've put in details of a Suzuki bike, and it's, they make the Power Commander 6 for that, but then downloads here, you've got model, stock exhaust, stock intake, or slip-on exhaust. So once you've downloaded and installed your software, we'll look at that. So now I'm just going to show creating a map from another map. I received a map in the wrong file format from Morgan, but that's not a problem because it's just a spreadsheet at the end of the day. So I've just opened up the software here, there's nothing on it there, and click open, and I've got the new versions look like this, and the Power Commander 3 ones look like that. PC3 USB C3 map. I've just created a blank one, PCFC demo here. Open that up and that should be all blank. It shows there you need to click on here. Map comes up, see all zeros. So we've got 0 to 100% throttle position, then 500 up to 1300 on the RPM. And then I need to open up Morgan's, and for that I need to use the other software. So that's this one. I open map, this is as I received it. One thing you may notice is the earlier version throttle positions are 5, 10 and 20, but on the newer one there's a 15. So I just copied everything that was in 20 into 15. There's just more resolution on the newer one. So I did actually, when I did it, I used Excel, but I found that you can just highlight everything here. So it goes up to 1100 RPM there. Highlight that, copy it, and then I switch to the other software, paste in. Yep, and you can see because of the 15%, it doesn't go up to 100. So I'm just going to highlight that and then copy it over one to the right. Yeah, you can see we've filled it all up now, and then I can save that. Save as a map, call it what you want, and then that will be saved ready to send to your Power Commander. So now I'm just going to record what I did, connecting it to the bike and putting the map on there. I'm just running through. So opening up the tune software, I've got the bike switched on, accept that. And with the bike switched on, I'm just plugging in the USB socket now. Yeah, I had to plug it in twice there, but it recognised it on the second plug-in, and then it's received all of the maps that's already loaded onto here. Because I've got 10 map positions, I've basically copied the same thing on multiple times. But if you look over on the right hand side, throttle position, if I turn the throttle now, it goes up. But you have to calibrate this to the bike because it was set up for the Honda as I received it. Remembered how I did that now. We're in the Home tab, and calibrate throttle position. Now if you say auto set, and it's at 0 now, and I'll just turn it to full and then back to 0. It measures that, okay, and so now you see the needle goes from 0 to 100. When I received it, it only went up to full throttle, was only shown as 65%, and that was due to the different voltages for the throttle position sensor on the Honda. Okay, and then if you wanted to do the map thing, look at the map in position 1. I've got this as 0. If you wanted to send a map, you adjust it as you need to, as I just showed you before, pasting it in, and then you're on the map there. Then you click send to hardware device, and that actually sends it to the box, and you're done. But I'm not going to do that because I've already done it. So what I just showed you earlier about pasting the map on, saving it, that's what you need to do. So finally, I'll just show you what it's like, what it's running. You see that blue cursor? I'll start the bike up. Okay, so all working, all good. Mega shit out.